Warren Delano ran the operation from 1833 to 1846, 13 years of opium smuggling. He returned to America a very wealthy man. How wealthy? Rich enough to build a 40-room mansion in Newburgh, New York. Rich enough to send his children to the best schools. Rich enough that when he lost money in the Panic of 1857, he could go back to China, make another fortune in opium, and return even wealthier. His daughter, Sarah Delano, married James Roosevelt. Their son was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. FDR grew up in wealth, private tutors, Harvard, political connections, all funded by opium money. And here's the kicker. In 1935, while FDR was president, he signed the first federal laws strictly controlling drugs, the Marijuana Tax Act precursor and expansion of narcotic controls. The man whose family fortune came from selling drugs to Chinese people spent his presidency criminalizing drugs for Americans. The irony is thick. Now let's look at the Astors. John Jacob Astor. At one point, the richest man in America. His wealth built the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, funded libraries, created a dynasty. Where did the money come from? Furs, right? That's the story. He traded furs, true. But that's not where the real money came from. Opium. John Jacob Astor's ships sailed to China starting in 1800. His ship, the Macedonian, made regular opium runs. Astor didn't just trade furs for Chinese goods. He traded Turkish opium for Chinese silver, then used that silver to buy furs, tea, and silk. The opium trade was the profitable leg that made everything else work. By 1840, Astor was worth $20 million. That's $500 million in today's money, most of it from opium profits. His great-grandson, John Jacob Astor IV, died on the Titanic as one of the richest men in the world. That wealth, built on opium? The Astor family name is on libraries, museums, university buildings, all of it funded by drug money from China. The Forbes family, yes, that Forbes. Malcolm Forbes, the magazine publisher billionaire, his family fortune started in China. The Forbes family of Boston sent ships to China in the early 1800s. Robert Bennett Forbes and his brother John Murray Forbes were major opium traders. They worked with Russell and Company, the same firm Warren Delano worked for. Robert Forbes captained clipper ships that carried opium. John Forbes invested the profits into railroads and became one of the wealthiest men in Boston. Their descendants used that wealth to start Forbes magazine. The family became American aristocracy, and it all started with opium. John Murray Forbes is celebrated in Boston as a great businessman and philanthropist. There are statues of him, buildings named after him. No one mentions the opium. It's been scrubbed from the official history. The Perkins family, Thomas Handesid Perkins. T.H. Perkins, as he was known in Boston. One of the wealthiest men in New England in the 1800s. Funded hospitals, asylums, schools. How did he make his money? Opium. Perkins was a founding partner of Perkins and Company, which later merged with Russell and Company. He ran opium from Turkey and India into China for decades, made millions, then retired to Boston and became a respected philanthropist. Yale University's Perkins Fellowship, named after the family, funded by opium money. The Perkins School for the Blind in Boston, opium money. Thomas Perkins is remembered as a great man. The opium part is a footnote, if mentioned at all. The Russell family. Samuel Russell founded Russell and Company in 1823. It became the dominant American opium trading firm in China. Russell made an enormous fortune, retired to Connecticut, and in 1832, his cousin William Huntington Russell co-founded Skull and Bones at Yale University. Skull and Bones, the secret society that has produced presidents, Supreme Court justices, CIA directors, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, John Kerry, all bonesmen. The Russell family fortune that helped establish Yale's most powerful secret society came from opium. Samuel Russell's money also helped fund the Russell Trust, which still funds Skull and Bones operations today. The most powerful secret society in America was built on Chinese opium money. The Cabot family, Boston Brahmins, old money, respected. Their wealth came from trading with China in the early 1800s. Guess what they traded? Opium. The Cabot family name is everywhere in Boston. Cabot House at Harvard, streets named Cabot, but the opium connection is never mentioned. The Lowe family, Abiel Abbott Lowe, another prominent opium trader, ran clipper ships to China, made millions. His son, Seth Lowe, became president of Columbia University and mayor of New York City. The family donated money to build Lowe Memorial Library at Columbia. Opium money built an Ivy League library. Here's the pattern. American families go to China in the early 1800s. They work for opium trading firms or start their own. They make enormous fortunes smuggling opium. They return to America. They invest in railroads, real estate, and legitimate businesses. They become respectable. They fund universities, museums, libraries, and hospitals. They erase the opium connection from their family histories. Their descendants become American aristocracy, and no one talks about where the money came from. This wasn't small scale. By the 1830s, American firms controlled about 10% of the opium flowing into China. British firms controlled most of the rest, but Americans were significant players. Russell and Company alone shipped thousands of chests of opium annually. Each chest contained about 140 pounds, thousands of pounds of opium. Year after year, the scale was industrial, and the profits were massive. A single successful opium voyage could return 400–500% profit. Ship captains and company owners became millionaires. In 1830s,